Master Proving Grounds, Nightfall. For those that just want to see this and skip to town on the screen. First I can show you my setup and the modifiers. This is just on Master, so the modifiers are Scorched, Champions Unstartable, Anti-Barrier, Famine, all ammunition drops are reduced, Equipment Locked, Match Game, Champions Mob, and this basically modifier that buffs splash damage, so splash damage is increased for the enemy and knockback damage is increased as well. As for our setup, we're using the Warlock, top tree Attunement of Chaos, Vortex Grenade, which you're going to want to put that nade on for this, with Healing Rift, and we pair that with the exotic Gauntlets Contraverse Hold. In terms of weapons, so as I said, Barrier and Unstoppable. Anti-Barrier Sniper is very powerful this season, so you can run that. You can also run a Scout Rifle. Night Watch is a very, very good weapon as well. So if you wanted to run that, it doesn't really matter what you run, Scout or Sniper, because both runs are going to be long. A solo Proving Grounds, whether it's Grandmaster, Master, they're long runs, just because of how the nature of the strike is. Okay, so if you want to run double primary, you can do. You're going to get more heavy if you do that, but you can burst champions down more with a sniper. I'm not here to tell you what's better, I'm just here to tell you these are your options. But I went with Kinetic Sniper, Long Shadow, which is from Vanguard, Last Perdition, which it's unstoppable pulse rifle, so we've got a Void on, and Heir Apparent, the exotic machine gun, which is going to be on Guardian Games, which is why I'm doing this run, to show you the utility of this weapon and how it can be decent in certain situations. In terms of our setup on our armor, so we haven't really got a build going. The only build really is that we have 100% discipline and high recovery. Focus those two elements. You don't need to invest in protective light, you don't need to invest in so much a cell build. We can't, because we're not investing in that. So just put all your stats, put all your mods into stats really. I had a high energy fire on with a shield break charge. That's about as far as I'm going to go with it. The main thing is ammo perks, because Famine's on. So this build isn't what I would run every day. This build is what I'm running for the Nightfall, because Famine's on, and Famine can ruin runs. So we got machine gun ammo finder on, sniper rifle ammo finder on. Put those two on. You don't need primary, because primary is going to drop anyway. Unstoppable pulse, anti-barrier sniper, as I said. On your chest plate, I recommend a solar damage resistance and a concussive dampener. You can either do this or go double concussive. There is no burn in this Nightfall that is increased, but there's a lot of solar at the boss, and I feel as though solar damage resistance helps a little bit at the boss. Okay, so, and you only need one concussive. You can go double concussive because they stack. If you want to go, if you really want to go, you can go for double concussive if you want. But I opted for that. Scavenger perks. And we have Bomber, so every time we pop a rift we get grenade energy, and Sundering Glare, when we do buff enemies, they get 20% damage debuff. That's the setup. So like with any other community run that I do, I'll explain exactly what I'm doing, why I'm standing where I am, and what angles to take things from. This starting encounter can be quite long, depending on how you take it. The first unstoppable that spawns is around about just at the as the hill starts to get a little higher, right here. I've heard reports, I've heard people say you don't need to kill this champion to get platinum, but I would just say kill the champion. What it will probably be is that the champions, they cap out at a number on certain Nightfalls. This was true for the Festering Core and a couple of others where you would still get platinum even if you didn't kill all the champions. Or some wouldn't spawn in, little tricks that you could do. On this one, they all spawn in. You can't, there's no tricks where you can stop them from spawning in, but as I said, I don't know 100% if you have to kill this champ or not. I would just kill him. Okay? If you want to do that, you don't want to take a risk, then just take the champion from this angle here. The champion will fight the Vex. Don't take the Vex out, because the Vex are a good distraction for you to easily take the Unstoppable out. Just use your Vortex Grenade a lot. Obviously we're abusing that mechanic as much as, because it's in the game, we're going to use it. Once you've done that, you want to take out the turrets, the turrets. So that was the first one, and you just want to keep left, keep all the way left, and this is where you're going to do a lot of your fighting from. So the majority of the ads in this room, not in this room, but in this environment, sorry, you don't need to take. Okay, the Scorpius turrets, take them because they're just going to get in your way. Okay, definitely want to take those. What you'll find is you'll have an unstoppable champion roaming around this area, and there'll be an anti-barrier champion behind you, because the champions are spawned. Some of them are spawned on amount of ads killed. Some of them are spawned on distance, i.e. how far are you close to the ship. So there'll be an anti-barrier behind us. Now the anti-barrier, depending on what you've done with the Vex, the anti-barrier might not be aggroed on you. Ideally, you don't want the champion to be aggroed on you too much, but at a point, if you see a good time to take the anti-barrier, which this is a good, real good angle, which the champion will eventually wander over. So the champion isn't aggroed on the Vex. That's good. Sometimes there's an angle where the anti-barrier can get you in the back while you're shooting the ads in front of you, so be cautious of that. But we can just take them with the sniper. Which this sniper isn't the best sniper to be using on champions, because it does not, it cannot, Long Shadow cannot roll with Vorpal weapon on it, which is why Succession, plus it's a different sort of archetype of sniper, I believe. It's just overall a better sniper to use. But on Master, you're good to go. Like literally, Long Shadow you can even use it on Grandmaster. It doesn't matter, and the reason why is because Sundering Glare. Obviously Succession is going to be better because you're going to get that increased damage on champions with Vorpal weapon. It's going to be the better sniper. Of course it is. But not everyone's going to have the sniper. So the loadout has to be accustomed to that. I understand people don't have Heir apparent because they didn't play Guardian games. So this weapon is probably regarded as rare. But I wanted to do a solo with it because the catalyst is coming out next reset. So if you haven't played with the gun, then here's a representation of the gun in end-game content, if you like. So, and it's got its benefits, and also what I didn't fail to sort of test this season is Sundering Glare with machine guns. Sundering Glare procs off rapid precision hits, and what better weapon than that is a machine gun. So if you're accurate enough with this weapon, it can literally melt stuff. The problem with it is it has range drop off, which I'll talk more about as we go along. But as you can see from this area, you can do a lot of damage with your grenades. Enemies don't push you, only from the left side. Once the anti-barrier is killed behind you, you're sort of free to do what you want. And it also controls all the ads. It controls the yellow bar ultra that is just behind that rock. It means he doesn't do all his rockets all the time, and if he does, you've got that big rock for cover. Another thing about this is when you're hiding behind cover, ads will more than likely sit in your grenade, because what it is, their AI will look at where you're strafing to. Like say if you're in, there's no cover and you're just grenading at ad, what's the ad going to do? Well, the ad or the champion or the boss, it's just going to jump out of your nade. But when you're behind cover, they're less likely to do that because they're trying to see where you are. This is a big critical thing that you need to know about when you're playing Voidwalker, and it's something that people don't know about. This is why when people do no gun challenges, they'll do the Voidwalker, because of the utility. If you find somewhere to hide, and you can just spam nades for days because of the nature of the build. It's basically like playing with Grenadier on, which is something I don't agree with, because some classes don't have the ability of that. Maybe they could tone it down a little bit, if I'm being honest, but we'll use it while it's here. You may as well. The way they could probably tone it down is just give it one tick of recharge rate rather than two, which you'll pay close attention throughout the whole run of when I'm using my grade and when the bar fills up. You'll find it fills up halfway, and then on the second tick rate it gives you the second half of your nade back. To adjust this exotic, because I'm all for powerful stuff in PvE, but it does come to a point where, okay, why haven't you touched this? I'd rather they touched it and buffed something else. Maybe buffed Void Warp or whatever, Nova Warp, sorry. That super, buff that, get it back and get it good in PvE. Because we've been playing it since with this playstyle since Forsaken. And it's a fun build and all, but there is a time where, okay, this is a live service game. You should be buffing and nerfing other stuff, you know, while we're playing the game to keep it fresh, because that's what it's all about. But having said that, it's very effective for a lot of things in the game, especially solo. It shines on solo content. In team play, it doesn't. I've noticed myself when I'm playing in a team, you're just clearing everything so much quicker, so you're not getting the chance to get them second tick rates on your nades, and it's just not required. You're better off just going kills for each probably, or even well, depending on what you're doing. But for solo play, it's where it shines, because obviously you've got no team shooting, so you need to do a lot of damage. A lot of tanky enemies in endgame content, and your grenade loves tanky enemies. The tankier the enemy, the better for this nade, because it means you're going to constantly get it back. That's the first entrance part anyways. Not much to it. It's very easy, as you can see. You're just literally playing around that rock. It's manipulating all the adds to stand where you want, so you can easily take them. This is the tank section, which people regard as the hardest part of the whole thing, and I would say it may well be on Grandmaster. On Master, you can sort of survive pretty easy. You just need to know about map rotation in this room, as the adds are slow going, but if you stand in one sort of section, so if you stand on the right side for so long, all the adds will eventually make their way to you. And if there's a lot of legionaries, phalanxes up, all that stuff, you know, and then you're getting sniped, there's always a sniper left and right as soon as you jump into this room. So that's the first thing you want to do, really. Take the two snipers. Then you want to go behind one of the blast shields. I like right side. For now you're safe-ish behind a blast shield. It's when the tanks come out you're not as safe. You want to take out the two mages in middle. Now this is RNG. As we know, there's VIP targets in this strike. It's the same, I think. I don't know everything about this strike, so I don't want to say something wrong, but I have had it where there's arc major and then there's two solar mages. So sometimes it's two solar mages, or sometimes it's one solar major and an arc major. I don't know the exact spawn rates of it. I don't know if it's RNG or whether you kill a certain amount of adds or a certain ad in a certain order. All I would say is Heir Apparent's very good on match game shields anyways. And if you do get an arc shield and you're using my setup, just Nova Bomb it. Obviously I don't expect everyone to use this gun, it's more just for the video. Other guns would do you better, but there's just a couple of circumstances where the gun excels because of its defense capabilities. But right now we're going to try and take out this this Scion on this vehicle here. There's 3 vehicles in this room and they're all void shielded. You don't need to pay attention to the void shield, because all your damage bypasses the shield on vehicles. This is the first time we've ever had sort of shielded tanks or you know, vehicles. I can't remember if there was in day 1. I don't think there was. So this is the first time I saw it. But what you'll find is if you get a void nade on the vehicles, that seems to wreck them and just take them out quicker. The shield as well isn't like a normal void shield or something. It just seems to be like a match game shield. Even though we're matching the shield just takes forever. But just know that all the weapon damage you've done to the vehicle, eventually the vehicle is just going to explode. So I think what's happening is the Scion's void shielded, whereas the vehicle's just the vehicle. And as whether you do kinetic damage, special or heavy, it doesn't matter. Eventually the vehicles will just explode. So that's my point. What you'll find as well is once you take out a lot of the VIPs and stuff in middle, the champions will sort of back off, or at least one will. Both of them won't push you. One will stay back and one may group up in the middle. What you need to be cautious of when taking these champions from a distance like this, it's all well and good that your sniper can wreck them, but you need to make sure you get them very fast, because if they go into cover, which they have cover left and right, so it's just a little alley, it's just that little field of view, if you like, to get that champion. If he just goes to left, pops a shield, you've just wasted a load of ammo. Famine's on, and we haven't got special finisher on. If you run a special finisher, you can be a bit more. You can take a lot more risks with using your ammo. You can, you spam more of your sniper, but I didn't opt to go for special finisher, as the super is really useful. It can almost one-shot champs. It's good damage output. So I would rather rely on RNG, better weapon usage, having the sniper finders on, and just rely on it that way. And generally, you're okay with your ammo as long as you're saving it. So we've got the second champion. So there was 2 anti-barrier champions in this room. As I said, 2 VIP targets. And I think there's another VIP target on the tank section. But again, like I say, I'm not an expert on all the spawns. Some of them have triggers, like in the Strike edition, so I'm assuming it'll be the same on this. So now what we want to do is clear the full room, make sure all legionaries are dead and everything before you take the tank, because the vehicle, as you don't want to spawn in the next phase with having ads up and stuff like that. Now this is just me messing about, seeing if I could do damage with this vehicle from back here. Just be careful of getting on one when they're one shot like this, because if you was to blow me up, I would be dead. But that's just me checking to see if you can actually, if it would be worth using on the next phase, like on the tank phase, and they're just not. Don't get on the vehicle. No point. Also, what you want to do is take the vehicle away from you if you're using it. Don't have it near you because it explodes on you. Same for barrels. Always shoot any barrels around you when you're in cover, because of splash damage. Splash damage is increased massively in this. So the tanks, any sort of splash damage that you're getting, as I said, it's going to be increased, like quite a lot. So you need to be careful of when you're standing behind cover. Stand behind it, but don't stand too close. Like when you stand behind the blast shields and stuff, if you're standing right next to the shield itself, or a bit of cover or a box, you'll die from the tank, because the splash damage will just take you out. Concussive dampener will help you. It will help you out with it, and double concussive obviously it'll help out even more. But if you play smart, you don't need to have double. I always recommend having one, because you don't need reserve perks. Always have one at least, and then spec for an element that you feel helps you out, which for me, solar damage resistance helps out, because just the nature of the boss, he spams solar damage constant. It's just how it works. So what I'm doing here is positioning myself for the next phase, i.e. if I stood closer to the Scion, where that middle bridge is, destroyed the vehicle, then the 2 tanks are going to spawn in, 2 snipers are going to spawn in, and champions are going to spawn on top of me, which means I'm out of position to snipe. Because if I start sniping the tank from middle bridge, I will get sniped from the other enemies. So what you want to do is take the vehicle from here. That means you have 5 to 10 seconds, I would say, of free damage to a tank. So take advantage of it. As you saw there, the tank sort of spins round, so you can get the back leg first, then the front 2, or get as much damage in as you can to the front 2, and that leaves the tank pretty much one shot. So as soon as you've done that, take the 2 snipers, try and snipe them. If they go into cover, which will happen, if you miss your snipe, then that's fine. Just map rotations. This is where you need to be rotating around the map. You don't need Night Stalker to survive in this room. You can do it like this. We've saved a Nova Bomb for one of the tanks, obviously the one with more health, so that this alleviates ammo and speeds up this phase, because this phase is the most dangerous. And the reason for that is this, and this goes the same with Grandmaster, because what people don't maybe realise, Grandmaster ads and Master ads have the same AI in terms of where they push, where they don't, how they react. I know this because I've played it on Grandmaster and I've played it on Mastery enough. Not so much this week. This is literally the first day of me playing it. But when the first wig came out, I took the time to learn it, and you know, if I do this, what happens, so that the run's in me, so that I know what's going on. And what you'll find is the two champions will be aggroed on you because the tanks are alive, they're up. Not until the two tanks are taken out, the champions will back up to the at the back side of the room. So it means that you have to map rotate. I mean, as you can see, I'm getting wrecked here. If the champions sort of get their blast move on you, so you need to be rotating around this arena. Keep doing it. You know, do a couple of snipes here and there, and then move on. If you need to activate your Colossus, like I am doing here, so I've got my overshield going, which is perfect. If you're ever in that situation where you're behind cover, but you need full health for the overshield to proc. But say you're behind cover, you've got like two champions flanking you, a couple of phalanxes, just literally prop your Colossus, which you just need to use your aim down sights button, which you can't aim down sights, so to speak, with this weapon, but when you do that, it activates the shield. So now what I'm going to do is use height to my advantage. So as I was saying earlier, when you're sniping a champion at the back of the room, and they are, you know, there's a small alley to get them, but they could move left or right. If they do that and pop their shield, then you just waste your sniper ammo. So what I'm doing here is, it doesn't matter where they move, because I'm on the top of this perch. I'm always going to be able to get a sniper on them. Also, that's the second VIP target, which I have done a run on this, and he was void. I think when I said there was a solar VIP and an arc one, I ended up getting a void one on the tank phase. But if it's two solar shields, you just get a third solar shield. But again, I don't know 100% how the spawns are working on it. If you do get a void shield, it's fine. You got your pulse rifle and your nades. If you get the arc shield at the start, as I said, you're gonna have to proc your machine gun, which it will wreck a match game shield, surprisingly. Or even better yet, just Nova bomb it. So we're just taking out all the smaller ads. I did know the audio cue of the dogs, so I was aware there was dogs below me. So as soon as I come down here, we're going to group them up. Do a nade here, and then just literally jump above them if needs be. And just it's just it's a way of taking them out quickly. Also, if you're in doubt, you can actually jump back up to where, before the tank room starts, there's sort of an entrance to go back up there, which it's easy done. If, you know, your last resort, which you can do it, and it will de-aggro the ads, and you can come down here and make a fresh start. So this is me using the Heir apparent to the best. So I needed some sniper rifle ammo, and the brick was right next to the champion. All the bricks were. So what I done was, went behind cover, procced the overshield, and slowly, you can't run with it of course, just ran to the, well, slowly went to get the brick and then come back. Because we needed at least one or two bricks. Well, at least one or two shots to break a shield. Once you've done that, make sure you leave this room with all ammo max, or as much ammo there is in that room for you to pick up, because you need plenty of ammo. It's an ammo run, this. The whole run itself is all based on your ammo count. Whereas when you're at the boss fight, it's not as strict, because of the build that we've got on with Nova Bomb and stuff and Contraverse hold. Okay, so this section here is where you put depositing orbs. You have a couple of champions mixed in, and unstoppable on this first section, and on the other side there's an anti-barrier. So what we're going to do is get our stops from this room. You can take it slow, or you can go ahead and snipe and stuff. Just manage your ammo. Every run's going to be slightly different depending on what bricks you get and where, you know. Obviously, if you're going to do a special ammo finisher build type thing, that's fine. Just know you're not going to be Nova bombing much. and you just focus on using your sniper as much as, and just finishing champs as well. It's very important, or any enemies that you can. As you can see, you can take this unstoppable slow because he'll push you, and you can go up top where I was. So you can just, you know, rely on your grenade and your pulse rifle to do a lot of the damage, thus saving a lot of heavy for later on when you need it more. So with this section here, with this, when you're picking up the orb, you'll hear audio cues of when rocks are sort of hitting the arena or the ship. That rock, I think we know, most people, that rock can hit you and kill you. It can kill you on Master, it can kill you on Grandmaster. It can one-shot you, because what it can do is push you into a wall. And because knockback damage is increased, it just whacks you. So, as far as I can tell, these rocks or rubble are RNG. However, what I've also noticed, I've played this a couple of times, is that wait for an audio cue of the rubble to hit something, then I would say go and pick up the orb. Just analyse the room, look for any rubble that's hitting, and it seems to be on a cadence where every now and then rubble will go flying. It's not constant, it's every now and then. So what I figured was wait for an audio cue for the rubble to hit, you know, a side. It'll just ping. When you hear that ping, go for the orb and do it. If you're in doubt, use your Heir Apparent. If you're going to do a run with Heir Apparent, which is actually, it works out alright, because it doesn't really matter what you use, you're going to be looking at a long run for this Nightfall, just because of how it is. Which for survivability works out pretty good, pretty decent. There's an anti-barrier in this room as well, which I forgot to mention. We lead with a nade to take out as many orange bars as we can. That then baits the shield. You get the first shield break, and then you can just finish him with your long shadow or succession if you're using that. Another good sniper would be Adored, which people are going to have because it's easy obtainable and it's got a vorpal weapon. So Adored is a very good one. There's Frozen Orbit, which is a void sniper. You could use that. I just haven't got a good roll on it myself, but that would be one. Well, actually, I've got one with Genesis on it, which when you shoot down a barrier shield with a Genesis sniper, you reload your weapon. So it's actually really good that way, but again, you want to have a high magazine, which Long Shadow does. If you put a backup mag with extending mag, you get 7, which is it's really good for a sniper of that archetype. Lacks the vorpal weapon, but if you're getting your crits, you're one-shotting a shield anyways, so what more do you want? You're going to one-shot with Succession, you're going to one-shot with Long Shadow, so take your pick. Got Succession, use it. If you haven't, doesn't matter, use Long Shadow, you'll still be okay. So we're going to take the Barrier Champion first. This is important that in the next room there's going to be a VIP target. It either is a Scion or a Solar Shield. For me, I got a Solar Shield. It doesn't really matter what you get, but just know that when you take out the VIP, the ads will spawn behind you. So you've got two options, and as I said, with these sort of maps where you can see the rubble going around in this room and the room previous, they're dangerous. You don't want to spend any time in them at all. The only time you're spending is clearing ads from a distance, and that's it. You want to get into the central hub area, if you like, as soon as. The problem with that is gladiators and ads push you as soon as behind. So the best way of doing this is take the barrier first, of course, because the barrier needs to be taken. Take the barrier before the VIP. Take all the Scorpions, turrets, snipers. There'll be a sniper above you. You don't need to take the sniper, but just the majority of the ads. As soon as the VIP is taken, back up. It's a timing thing. This you want to back up to this area here, because once you claim your right to this area, if you like, you're safe in terms of doing damage to the anti-barrier. The legionaries they don't push you really from here. So you can do a lot of damage from here, and you're not in that previous room where there's rubble flying about, because you could be fighting these ads in the other room because they push, and rubble could just hit you in the back and you runs over. Same goes for Grandmaster. I would do that on this as well. As soon as that VIP is taken, just back up to this section, and it's a really good place to stand. Now what you want to do is take out any remaining gladiators. If you didn't get them all, they'll hide. Just look at your radar, of course, see where they are, because you don't want a gladiator pushing you, or one or two, while you're trying to snipe. There's nothing worse. So take those out. The barrier champion has a good angle on you as well, so you've got to be careful of that. Gladiator wasn't really pushing me, and I knew this barrier would do his shockwave attack, so we're just really wanting to take the gladiator first, so then we can deal with the rest. Once you've done that, you're then free to sort of push up if you want. You want to take it a little closer, you can, or if you want to do it from a distance, doesn't really matter. We'll do a nade first, and then we just snipe from there. You'll find that's usually the best way. Rather than sniping first, do your nade to proc the first shield, and then you're waiting with a full mag of 7 or whatever it might be. And it just seems to work a bit better. So now we'll go for the orb. That's the last thing you always do. Adds first priority, then the orb at the end. Again, always be careful of the rubble and stuff. I sort of just went in there, went for it. But if you're unsure, just scan the room. You'll hear a dink every now and then. When you hear that ping, go for the orb then. Use a good nade here for the dogs. They just group up nicely if you do like that. We've got 2 champions in this area here. A anti-barrier and unstoppable again. I've got max here apparent, which is 500. It has more ammo obviously if you do the reserves, but 500 is more than enough for this weapon. So its ammo is actually really decent. Really good that way. You can do what you want with the unstoppables really. If you want to stop them multiple times and just kill them with your nade, you can do that and save on ammo. If you're not getting the bricks, if you didn't get say for example I didn't get a special brick to drop on the floor there, I wouldn't have used my sniper on the unstoppable. And you want to have, I would say, don't use any heavy. If you if you don't need to use it, don't use it. Because you want to have max heavy for the boss. Because famine's on, you don't know what's going to happen with that. And if you don't get any heavy bricks at all, which is possible, then you're going to need all that 500 ammo count for the champs. Certain times when things are dangerous. So you're best off just saving it. You can take all the smaller adds with your primary and your sniper if you get the drops. And your nade does a lot of the work. So now we're full on everything. Ammo count's really good for that. Then we can go with the boss fight. This is going to be no cheese. Obviously the cheese, there is still a cheese. The original cheese that I used, which was the first week that this came out, where you would go on top of the roof, that's being patched. I know there's still another cheese, but I don't know how that works. But I know enough about it to know that you can't use it in a solo really. So this is going to be the fight as it's meant to be played. Now when I first seen this as a Nightfall, I knew that it would be a nightmare doing it legit. But having done it a couple of times, the cheese is actually more difficult than doing it the normal way. Because there's not that many adds, and you can survive a lot of stuff just by using the back area, this little tunnel thing. So what we're going to do is just do a little bit of damage from here to get the first set of ads to spawn in. When you hear audio cue, which Destiny works on audio cues, so when you hear the calling for whatever, you know, if it's Vex, there'll be, you know, you'll hear the animations. So whatever race it is, hear out for that call, and then that's when your ads spawn in. It's really handy to know when you're doing new content, when you're playing something new, a new raid or a new Nightfall. When you're first playing it for the first time, when you hear the music change, there's ads. That's really nice to know. When you're playing something where you don't know, you haven't, you know, when I first played Proving Grounds, for example, that's the way you learn all the ads by, you know, obviously the ads are going to be linked, generally they're linked to the boss's HP, which they are in this, and then you can learn how many ads spawn to this, which there's only 3 waves of ads, and it's 2 Phalanxes, and I think 4 Legionaries or something like that. So there's barely any ads at this boss fight. So it's mainly the boss that is the threat. There is Unstoppables, which there's waves of those. There's 4 Unstoppables in total. 1 after the first phase of the fight, and then 1 on the last phase of the fight, or just before the last wave. So the idea is that you use your nade for most of your damage, which what you'll find with this boss is, I thought it would be a bit of a nightmare, especially when I first started seeing when this came out, that he would be moving everywhere. He doesn't. He generally just stands in one location, so he's easy to be sniped, easy to be grenaded, so you can just sort of do it from here. A perfect time to grenade him is when he does his solo attack, as when he does his solo attack, he's going to be there definitely, so you'll definitely get your nade back when doing that. So we're just proccing Sundering Glare as much as on the boss, and using our nades. Just listen out for his solo attack, like if you're not in sync, so if you're in sync with him, you should be doing a nade, doing a bit of damage with your pulse, and then just cycling left to right, left to right. And when he does his solo attack, by that time you can cycle to the left. But if say he does his solo attack and you're off guard, just wait in the tunnel and just wait there, and the solo can't hit you unless the boss is like left or right of the tunnel, then he can. But if he's standing in the middle like that, he can't hit you. To explain the mechanic with the tunnel, it will go on fire, but only certain occasions, and only the main floor itself. There's like a white ridge all the way around it. If you stand on the ridge, even though the floor's on fire, you will not get tick damage. That's very important. So it means that you've always got a partial safety zone, so you use it when you need. We've saved the super as well. I could have supered the boss, speed this up, but because of our loadout, I would say that this is a better way. So we're going to go right in this corner. We'll do a heal and rift, and we'll wait for the champion to come a little bit closer. This is the 2 unstoppable. We'll get a stop, we'll use our nade, Nova Bomb, and then equip. As soon as equip the Colossus weapon, here apparent, you'll get your overshield, and if the boss hits you with his attack, you'll survive that easily because of solar damage resistance, your overshield, and you're sitting in heal and rift. So you'll out heal all that stuff, but you want to melt that first champion because the second one's on its way, right? So you're on a timer there. The quicker you melt the first one, the easier it is to get out of there and then cycle left to right to confuse the unstoppable. While the boss is doing his solo attack, you can avoid all that stuff. And then you can easily deal with the second one because the second one's isolated then. So all we've done there is made a dangerous situation, isolated one champion so that we've only got, you know, the second champion to deal with on its own. If you can get him close to the tunnel like I did, even better because the boss won't even do his attack. If he doesn't see you for a bit. But basically, what will happen with this sword attack, which I haven't really explained about, his sword attack is based on a timer. Now, I've been told how many times he does it, but I'm not convinced it's the same every time, 13 or 14 times. it just seems to be on a timer, and that will eventually run out. The enemy will get bored. So enemies in this game, if you're sitting behind cover for so long, they actually forget you're there, and they stop being, you lose their aggro. Now you can do that with this boss as well, but as soon as he sees you again, he's going to do his attack. So you want him to see you. So all you want to do is go left to right. Let him keep doing his attacks, and eventually he'll stop. Which I was surprised that this was a mechanic, because when I first saw it and you kept doing his solo attack, I thought that would just be relentless. And I thought, well, that mechanic's too harsh. And I think it is. But doing it like this, waiting, I suppose it isn't too bad. So we're using the Heir apparent to break the generators, which is ideal. If anything, this is the best weapon for this, because when you've got the shield up, you negate boss stomps. If the boss stomps you into a wall, he will kill you. But with this weapon, if he does stomp you, it negates boss stomp damage. Also, it means you can easily shoot the generator in safety. But what you can do as well is bait the boss's stomp out, like I just did. So you get close to him and then back up. So you're within like a 2 meter radius, then you back up a little bit. He does his stomp, then you go in the bubble. Because he won't do 2 back-to-back stomps like in succession. He will do a stomp and then like 3 seconds he'll stomp again. But if you do it like that, if you bait the stomp, you don't get stomped back. Which means it's just easier to get the generator. That first generator is easy to get. It's the last generator that you have to get is the most difficult one. Which will explain how you get that and the best way of doing it. We did have an ad spawn, a wave of ads there, but it was, if you leave the ads, if you don't touch them and you just go and wait in the tunnel, they'll gather up around the boss. Which ideally you want that, because you can grenade the boss and kill a lot of the ads at the same time. So you know, double task them with that. If you can comfortably kill them anyways, just do what suits you. But if you let them back up like that, you can just easily take them with your grenade. The boss you'll find on the second phase is a bit more mobile. He'll jump around a lot. In this phase, he'll jump around and do his solo attack, which he's been doing obviously the whole thing. But eventually he'll stop doing. It's a timer for each phase, if you like. So we're on the second phase of the fight, and this timer is still active. So he's still doing his solo attack, but he's also roaming around, right? So when he eventually just stops jumping around, he'll stop doing his solo attack and he'll just start shooting at you. Depending on which side he was on, you can take him from the back of the map here and just literally activate Sundering Glare with your pulse and your nades and just do damage that way. And sniper damage as well. If you end up getting a couple of special bricks, use your sniper on him, he's easy sniped. But do save a bit of sniper ammo just for the end. I would recommend 7 to 9 shots, something like that, just for the end bit. And save a bit of Heir apparent. Don't use too much Heir apparent, which it's alright damage on the boss because you can activate Sundering Glare and it's rapid precision hits and what have you. But it's more useful to save it like 200-250 ammo, something like that minimum, just so that you can take out a lot of the ads quickly, because the boss is more mobile. On the second phase he's mobile, and on the third phase even more so. He'll push you even more than he does on the second. So your ammo counts a bit more the later on the fight goes. But we're taking him down to a 3rd HP. When we take him down to a 3rd HP, we'll get 2 more unstoppables. The way I deal with this, you'll see, when the boss is immune, we're on the side, we're positioned here already. So we can go in the corner of the map, we're waiting to do a healing lift, the boss is going to do his attack at us, we'll stop the champion, do our nade, do our nova, and then quickly go to clock. As you saw, I got hit by a couple of solo damage. I was quite lucky I could have got hit by more. But as you saw, the setup helped us. Obviously it's on a timer. The right side Unstoppable's going to push, so we need to get out of there. As soon as the first one's killed, we come back here. When you come back here, what you'll find is the solar attack cannot hit you from the boss. The boss can't hit us from here, only the void attack that he does, which means we're sort of just me and the Unstoppable, which is good. It's better than having two Unstoppables down here, because they can boop you into a wall and kill you. So it's better off spawn kill one of them, then come down to the bottom end of the map and then clear out, snipe him. I would try and get him down as quickly as possible, just so he doesn't boop you into a wall or something like that. Now, same again, this is why this run's so long. You're always waiting for the boss. If we weren't always waiting for the boss, this run, I mean, most runs you're looking 30-40 minutes max, because you're always waiting at times each phase, because it's always better to do that. Like, I could go charging in now and yeah, maybe survive it, but you're just running the risk. We're 40 minutes into a run. There's no point in risking just for a time save. For what? It's not a speed run, it's just a completion. So we'll just sit here, wait for his attack to be done, which you'll know when it's done, because he'll just sort of sit there. If you're shooting at him, like getting his aggro, he'll just void blast you. But when he stops doing that, we can then go and get the last generator, which is the hardest one to get, because of the splash damage is increased. I feel as though it's increasing knockback. It's increasing the stomp radius for this boss. That's what it feels like. And the knockback, or maybe it's just the effect of the knockback damage or distance is increased. Maybe that's what's buffing it, but it's definitely buffing the boss's stomp. But what you want to do, avoid his attacks, and you want to try and bait the boss to a side. Obviously to dome, it's not very big, and if you're if he's on the very edge and you're in the middle of the dome, his stomp will reach you. So the only way really of getting the generator is baiting out a stomp or using your Contraverse hold, which you could jump up there, charge a grenade, quickly throw the grenade on and then jump down. You do run the risk of him stomping you into a wall though, so I was actively thinking the best way of doing this, and what I ended up thinking was, on the left and right side, if he stomps me, he'll stomp me into the wall. The stomp won't kill me, it's the knockback damage, the physics. But if I stand at the front of the dome, there's no wall. The wall's way back. So if he did stomp, at least I would just go flying the other way and that wouldn't kill me. So there's less chance of getting killed. But what I end up doing is figuring out that you can actually easily bait the stomp. So we bait out a stomp, and because he can't stomp right away on the second version, we can just go up there and then charge our Colossus to then get the generator. Because once we've got an overshield in that dome, that's fine. He can't do a thing. That's fine, we've got the generator, and as soon as that happens, we're going to come into this tunnel. Do a healing rift, just in case his soul attack can sometimes come in the tunnel. Depending, if he jumped behind me and followed me, then yeah, the soul attack would have been there, but I didn't take any risks, just popped a healing rift. Obviously you'll get an ad spawn as well, which again, it's just a couple of phalanxes, a couple of legionaries. If you're in doubt, which you need to keep an eye on the boss, if you're in doubt, just melt the ads with your machine gun, just take them out. Obviously anti-barrier works on phalanxes, so you don't need to shoot their shield, you just shoot through their shield to get the crit. Might be common sense to some, but not to everyone. All the mods, i.e. Unstoppable, Overload, Anti-Barrier, they work on everyday ads. They work in Gambit, so you should always be having them on. Generally, it's always better to have that on than maybe backup mag, unless it's... I mean, I've got backup mag on my pulse because I quite like this pulse with a high magazine and stuff. Oh, now I'm getting confused. Obviously it's on your gauntlets. say I'm getting confused. The barrier mods, they used to be on your gauntlets and stuff, now they're not. But once all adds are down, all you're doing is rotating between left and right. The boss, as I said, he'll come in your face more. If he stomps you, or even if he teleports on you, then stomps you, that's a wipe. I've noticed, obviously, like in the game, generally, there's still adds teleporting. But on this last phase in particular, he will teleport quite a lot. So just be sort of ready for that if he does. But the interesting thing, or good thing about this is, your radar tracks the boss at all times. There's a white objective marker on him, which is ideal because then you can always sort of know where he's pushing. Like, you know exactly where he is on the left side. Is he behind cover? Is he next to the tunnel? Is he opposite the tunnel? You know exactly where he is because of the objective marker, which is it's actually really nice. And I don't think in any other Nightfalls it's like that, where you get an objective marker for the boss. So we're just gonna keep doing damage. He does do his solo move on this final phase, which I'm sure you've seen him been doing. He'll stop. There'll be a timer on this. He'll stop doing that eventually as well. You just want to, you know, do your Contraverse, which isn't as useful because he's bouncing around constantly. Just use your sniper or what have you, and then your super as well. Speed it up, just to get it done. That was the solo on it. It's a long run this Nightfall, but as I said, I just wanted to do a run with this weapon because it's going to be relevant in a couple of days. Hope you enjoyed. Thank you.